Okay, so here we have a silver Mercy player. Let's see what we can do for them. So, really quick, I just want to talk about your team comp. In silver, team comp doesn't really matter all too much. You kind of just play what you're best at, but at the very least, you should know how to play and what to do with your counterpart. So in this case, you're running with a Moira. Moira in this case is absolutely the main support. You act as a flex support here, especially because you are running Diva Sigma. Both those tanks have a lot of survivability, so Moira should absolutely be able to keep them alive. So what I'm going to be looking for you to do for the most part here is basically pocket your Pharah, at least at the start. Okay, this is really good. So I like this, damage boosting the Pharah, and you're keeping this wall between you and the enemy line of fire. You're keeping yourself safe, that's really good. This, less good. Oh, that's not what I meant. Pause. So right here, you Guardian Angeled right into the middle of the enemy's line of fire. So one of the things that, if you don't have this enabled, Mercy, you want toggling out. I would recommend, now again, a lot of these settings are personal preference, but I would recommend turning off Guardian Angel toggle. So by default, it's on, and what that means is that Guardian Angel hotkey, whatever it is, for me it's left shift, is a toggle. So what happens is when you hit left shift, your Guardian Angel, you will Guardian Angel the full distance towards whatever target that you're looking at. By turning it off, it now becomes a push and hold, so you will fly farther the longer you hold it, and as soon as you let go, you will stop flying. And what that allows you to do is it gives you more control over how far you Guardian Angel. So in cases like this, where when you need to stay in the air, you can just Guardian Angel a little bit, then let go of your hotkey, and you will stop moving. That way you will stay up in the air, you will stay close to your team, but you will not put yourself in a danger position like this, where you are staring right down the middle of the battlefield. Okay, so right here, again, you're kind of putting yourself in a rough position. I know your team's pushing in and you have to push in with your team, but you're kind of in a bad spot here. Again, you are up high, right in the middle of the open. You now have a Pharah that's kind of, she was kind of focusing you. Now she's going for group damage, but whatever. At this point, I would, if you're in voice chat, I would start telling your Cassidy to start focusing the Pharah. Again, don't have to be mean about it, but just say, hey, Cassie, can you like just put some pressure on this Pharah? He just needs to put enough pressure on her to kind of keep her out of the fight and control her and limit her viability. Because right now the enemy Pharah is in a really, really bad spot, so that should honestly be a relatively easy kill for any kind of decent hit scan. But again, that's not on you. What you have to do here is you have to recognize that you're kind of in a bad position. And you need to have, as Mercy, you should always have a safety out, right? You should always know where all your teammates are, and you should have someone that you can fly to when you get into danger, right? So in this case, it's a Pharah. It might, in other games, it might be a Tracer or a Genji, whatever. Whenever somebody gets to pressure you, you should know where your teammates are, so that when you get into those situations, you can just turn to look at your safe escape teammate and just Guardian Angel to them, immediately getting out of danger. The less you have to think, the better, right? So that's why Pharah is really good. So you know your Pharah is up here to your left. You know that their Pharah is here pressuring you. So honestly, being low to the ground is dangerous because, you know, Pharah's rockets have splash damage, so you are actually easier to kill when you're on the ground. So doing this kind of debate is actually a really good way where you kind of drop to the ground and then you turn to look at your Pharah and you fly up and away. And so that's kind of what I would be looking to do here, is just to fly your Pharah. You had a very, very brief instant where your crosshairs were highlighted on Pharah that you could have flown to her. Kind of a tough reaction to get to, but that's why you need to know where all your teammates are, and always have that safe escape, right? So you can always fly to someone. That's what, again, Pharahs are fantastic for it because they're generally up in the air, easy for you to see.
fight.
The objective must be taken.
On my way, I could use a hand. I need help.
Oh, the Mercy feels. Walking back from spawn, spamming, I need help, I need help, I need help, just for somebody to jump up and peek so you can Guardian Angel to them. Oh, it hurts. I feel you, bro. I feel you. Again, another good reason to be in voice chat, just so you can say, hey, Farrah, can you just fly up for me so I can Guardian Angel to you, right? Or, you know, hey, can somebody come back just to peek for me so I can, like, get back to heal you guys faster? You know. I feel your pain, though. Right. And again, you know, Sigma died there because, honestly, because no one helped you Guardian Angel to them. Like, if somebody had jumped up, if Farrah had jumped up a little bit, so you could fly to her, you could have flown to her, healed her, you probably could have saved your Sigma there, right? So for those of you watching who don't play Mercy, help your Mercy, right? Ooh, I like this. So, damage boosting the baby diva so she can do more damage and get her mech back faster. Very nice. Okay, again, very dangerous, right? You Guardian Angel right into the middle of the enemy, line of fire. That was really good damage boosting your diva, but then you just put yourself into a danger spot. Bad mojo. Oh, you... Ooh, unlucky. So, you turned away to heal your diva at the very instant that your Farrah hit ult. It was kind of like you probably pressed the button at the same time, but even going into this, I probably would have stayed on your Farrah, right? The rest of your tanks were kind of behind a wall. They weren't being immediately pressured. Your Moira was right there to heal them up. At that point, just let your Moira take care of them, right? I would have stayed with your Farrah here anyway. Again, there was probably nothing you could have done to save her. You know, like you can see Devo had defense matrix, was going to eat her ult, and then, you know, she basically got comboed in one shot. Like, couldn't have saved her, but going forward in this case, definitely would have stayed on your Farrah here. After this ult, I would Valk right here. So, Valkyrie is like... Valkyrie builds so quickly, you could almost treat it like a cooldown. So in this case, honestly, going for this res first is fine, but I would Valk basically soon after. Valk is a great way to initiate a team fight, and right here, you know, you're down 2. Actually, I guess you are down 2. Maybe not. Maybe I'd wait till the enemy team responds a little bit. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. You know, like I said, my initial knee-jerk, my instinctual reaction was to Valk right off the start, so I don't hate this. You know, Valkyrie is a good ability to initiate a team fight with, to help push your team forward, right, to help put pressure on the enemy team, especially because they're doing such an aggressive defensive hold here. And Valk builds so quickly, honestly, so... No, this is fine, this is good. And another little thing about Valk, like, that was a good Valk, but 9 times out of 10, when you are Valking, it's better to damage boost, right? You will get more value out of damage boosting, like, 4 people than trying to heal up 1 person who's low health. So, when you're Valking like this, a lot of times you can probably just let one of your teammates die, because you can always res afterwards, or even if, you know, res is off cooldown, they always respawn. You'll get more value out of damage boosting, like I said, 3 or 4 people than you would off healing up 1 person, especially when everyone else is close to or at full health. Just, that was a good Valk, but just something to keep in mind going forward.
I have empowered you.
You will always have enough pylons in here.
You get out of there quick.
My strength is upon you.
Oh man, I feel that pain too. You know, you're trying to Guardian Angel back and then everybody just walks in front of your line of sight, so you can't Guardian Angel to safety anymore. Oh, yeah, I feel that. It hurts my soul. Good damage boost your Moira here. Nice. Nice super jump. You're doing a pretty good job of managing your damage boost beams here, and I like that you're focusing on damage boosting and supporting one of your DPS as opposed to healing. This is really good. And this is like this right here. This is perfect. Like, you're hiding behind a rock. You're keeping your damage boost on your soldier. Like perfect. Textbook Mercy game. This is getting a little bit riskier because you're out in the open now. Okay, so this is a bit of a risky res here. I agree that going forward is probably the right play here, and I would go for it as well. But something to keep in mind is that as you climb up, the enemy team is going to notice, especially players like Genji are going to notice that Soldier has a damage boost beam on him. So when they kill Soldier, they know that you are going to be very close by. So better players are now going to go, oh, there is a Soldier with a Mercy damage boost. We killed the Soldier. That means Mercy has to be nearby, so they are going to follow the Soldier and going to hunt you down. So something to keep in mind going forward is that when you do things like this, there is a high probability that better players are going to hunt you down now because they know you're going to be near, they know you're probably going to be alone, isolated, and an easy kill. I agree that going for this res is probably the right play here, and I would probably go for it myself, but just something to keep in mind that if you do go for this res, you are a sitting target, right? Especially for players that want to follow up on the Soldier kill.
Tactical visor activated.
Unlucky that your Soldier just got deleted so quickly, but nothing you could have done there. I'll let your Moira's dead. I'm okay with this, kind of supporting your tanks. Nice super jump to get away from the D.Va. Oh, okay. So, your Moira died, so I was okay with you going down to support your tanks. And then D.Va came after you, and you did a beautiful super jump to get up and away from the D.Va. That was perfect. That's exactly what the super jump is there for. But then you dropped down and went right back into the D.Va. Just stay on high ground. Stay with your, you could have stayed with your Ashe. You can still heal from up top there. But you put yourself right back into danger after, doing just a beautiful super jump to get away from it. Good Volk. Honestly, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. This is pretty good gameplay. For the most part, you're keeping yourself safe. You're doing a good job of managing your beams, knowing who to damage boost, who to heal. Or at least because you're playing with a Moira, you should be focusing on damage boosting your DPS, which is you're doing, so that's really good. Res your Moira, res your Moira, res your Moira, res your Moira. Just res your Moira there. Your Sigma's at full health and is chasing down an Ana. Like, he's not really in a huge danger of dying, especially because, like, Sigma is a pretty survivable tank, right? He has a way that he can build shields, negate all damage with his suck ability. He has a shield of his own. He has a stun from his rock. Like, he's a very survivable tank, and he's at full health hunting down an Ana. At that point, you could have just rezzed your Moira and, just continued on this pressure even farther. But good job damage boosting him to hunt that Ana. Nice dodge. Okay, that startled me too. What I like there is that you recognized where the McCree was, and you, instead of flying to your Ashe over there, because you just hit around the pillar, flying to your Ashe, you still would have been in line of sight of the Deadeye. Oh, that was close though, by the skin of your teeth. Good job though. So one of the things to note is what I agree, what you're doing with here is fine. You know, damage boosting your Ashe, but you're kind of just standing here. I would probably stand right over here, because this way, like, they only have one way that they can actually see you here, and that's coming up the stairs. Standing right here with the bookcase at your back, you can see, like, the only avenue of attack that they have. And then you can still be here and just look around. You can see where your teammates are, whatever. You also don't want to spend too much time standing still, especially when all you have is a pillar here. You almost always want to be strafing or something. You don't want to strafe too much, because that'll put you in the line of fire, but you almost never want to be standing still. Because at some point you're going to be standing in a position like right here, and a Widow is going to, like, hook jump up here, see you standing still, and then just one-shot you. Not going to happen at this rank, but as you climb up, there will be Widows who can do that, and will. Just something to keep in mind, something to practice going forward, kind of just recognizing where the main avenues of attack are and how to keep yourself as safe as possible. But, you know, for the most part, you're doing a good job of that. Just something to keep in mind, something to think about. So, I say that you were doing a really good job here of damage boosting your Ashe, right off the start. You know, and kind of using this pillar, staying up high, staying away from danger, and then you did all this work down here, where I understand you're here trying to support your team and trying to help out your team, and support your tanks, but you are also putting yourself in a really, really dangerous position by flying down around right in this area here. Again, long sight lines, middle of the battlefield, not where you really ever want to be as a support.
Damage amplified. Let's get you forward.
You're calling for falling back, which is good. That's the right play here. You want to run away. So, that res wasn't bad, but one of the things that you want to keep in mind with res is where your team is, where the enemy team is, where your spawn is, and how close your team is to pushing back in. So right there, you're basically right outside your spawn. Most of your team is still respawning. Moira was almost fully respawned, and the enemy team was really pushing hard. And so in some of these cases, like, Moira was able to get away because she still had her shift ability and was able to flutter away without taking damage. But sometimes you will res somebody to instantly die again. And you don't want to be doing that, right? Because that's just giving the enemy ult charge. So, wasn't a bad res, wasn't a great res, I don't think. Might not have been fully necessary because your team was still kind of in a regrouping mode, and because you were still so close to spawn. You might have been able to hang on to it. Again, like I said, wasn't a bad res, wasn't a great res, but just something to keep in mind when you are going for these reses. You know, where's my team? Where is the enemy team? How close are we to spawn? If I make this res, are we going to immediately push in, or are we still in a regrouping mode? If I make this res, is this person just going to die instantly again? You know, some questions you have to ask yourself when you're going in for these kinds of reses. Again, you're flying right through, you know, right down the middle of the main sight line here. This back and forth thing. Very, very dangerous. Again, it's silver, it's not too bad because the chances that an enemy DPS has the skill to hit these shots as you're flying horizontally across their lines of sight, you know, most DPS of this rank can't hit those shots. But as you climb up, by the time you hit Platinum, there are Hanzos, Widows, Ashes that can hit these shots consistently. You can face some mechanical gods in Platinum. So you have to be very, very careful when you're doing this. It's a bad habit to get into, flying across this line of sight, because you're just putting yourself in danger. You're putting yourself in a position for enemy DPS to just eliminate you. Again, in silver this is fine, but out of silver, the farther out of silver you get, the more dangerous it is. Your team's here, Valk. Pop Valk, pop Valk. Just go, do it. Do it, Valk, 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 Valk. Nice, okay. Hold on to it just a couple of seconds too long, but good use of Valk here. That you almost always want to use it to, like, initiate a team fight. So right there, you know, when your Ashe was dueling the Reaper, at that point, damage boost your Ashe. Yeah, you have more people up there, but, you know, your Pharah popped off, killed everyone, like, help your Ashe out here, right? So honestly, this is kind of bad. The fact that both your team supports are trying to duel a Reaper. Battle Mercy is a controversial topic. I'm usually in favor of telling Mercy players to not battle Mercy. Most of the time you're going to get more value out of Mercy by assisting your teammates, by healing them up, by damage boosting them. There are a couple of situations where it's okay, but you have to be absolutely certain that you can secure that kill. In the lower ranks, you are going to win those duels because enemy DPS don't have the mechanics, and honestly, Mercy has a projectile like the size of a telephone pole, right? It's huge, right? And that's why you see a lot of these battle Mercies 1v1ing and winning these duels against DPS, because she has such a big projectile speed, or big projectile size, and DPS at this rank just don't have the mechanical skill. But again, as you climb, you're going to face against people that have better mechanics, and they're going to consistently win those duels against you.
Where does it head? I need help. I could use a hand. I need help.
It's good you're calling for help here, though.
Stop now. I'm taking care.
I like where you're hiding here, though. This is good. This is good positioning. This less good.
10 seconds.
I'm on fire, but this witch doesn't burn.
Alright, so now you're in overtime basically as soon as you get your ult. Oh, I was gonna say as soon as you get Valk, I would just press Q. But just push it all the way. Nice. So,
Score.
from what I saw in this first round, for the most part, you're doing a pretty good job of keeping some kind of cover between you and the enemy team. However, you were taking some very risky chances with Guardian Angel and your super jump, putting yourself into bad positions. So be very careful of that and do your best to try and avoid that. If you don't have it on, or if you don't have it off, I would recommend turning off Guardian Angel toggle, just to help keep yourself in safer positions. Bulk usage was pretty good. Your choice of who you're healing, who you're damage boosting was pretty good. And another minor little thing that I noticed here is that you aren't looking around too much. So if you have your beam on toggle, which hopefully you do because it would be a pain in the ass to hold left click or right click down the entire time, you don't have to be looking at your target. Your beam auto locks on. So one of the things that you can do as Mercy is when you have your beam locked on, just constantly be looking around, right? That will help your awareness, like with where your team is, where the enemy team is. That'll help you keep in mind where your escapes are, right? Just look around a lot, right? You don't have to be staring at the ass of whoever you're damage boosting or healing. You know, you can always just be sure you're looking around and you are aware of where your team is, where the enemy team is. Good stuff so far, though.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
This is a good position for you to be in. Just hide in this doorway. Don't need to be out. Okay, so you heard the Widow shot. So, I liked where you're at the start, right? In this building, like, this was perfect. You stay right here, you damage boost your Pharah, perfect, that's where you need to be. And then you could hear the Widow shot. Right, so you know they have a Widow. So what you have to do now is you have to be careful when you're up in the air. I would actually recommend spending most of your time down low to the ground. When you're low to the ground, you have so much cover, it's going to be very difficult for a Widow to try and single you out and pick you off. See what you do with this. This is good. That's really bad. That's really, really bad. So when you jump up in the air like this, any kind of jump, or like in this case, Mercy's super jump and glide, the character follows a very, very predictable arc, and it gets very easy for enemy DPS to follow this arc and kill you. So as you climb higher, again, DPS are going to be better and better at predicting this arc and punishing you when you do stuff like this, especially because they have a Widow. Jumping up like this, you are right in her line of sight. It's like he's looking right at you. See? Yeah. You see what I mean? Like, her crosshairs are almost right on your head. She does hit you, she just misses the headshot, right? By the time you hit gold, these Widows probably are not going to be missing that shot, right? So, I know you want to help your Pharah, but at that point you need to be in team chat and saying, Pharah, hey look, they have a Widow, you need to get off high ground, you need to avoid that sight line. If you want healing, come down to me, right? This is good. This is good, this is safe. This is what you want to be doing. That's not what you want to be doing. Again, flying right across the enemy team's sightlines. Real bad. Doing it once is fine. Doing it a second time in quick succession like that is really bad, because you do it once, you know, you might get lucky that the enemy Widow isn't paying attention, but as soon as you fly across, the enemy Widow is going to go, oh look, there's a Mercy, and then you fly across immediately after, and she's going to be focused on you. Like, just avoid going across those sight lines when at all possible. See, you're just, yeah, at that point, you know, you're just lucky that the Widow missed those shots. Again, by the time you hit gold, Widows aren't going to be missing those, right? Definitely by platinum, they're going to be consistently hitting those shots. So, I know that it's silver, and that the DPS here aren't that good, but if you think like a silver player, you are going to stay in silver, right? So you have to start thinking like a gold player, right? Alright. And as a gold player, you have to realize and respect the DPS, right? Even if they suck, even if the enemy DPS suck, right? Even if that Widow, you know, the Widow was hitting shots, it wasn't hitting headshots, but was hitting shots, so the Widow still has respectable aim. You have to respect the enemy DPS. You have to assume that they are good DPS, and assume that they are eventually going to hit their stride, or they're going to get lucky. Respect the enemy DPS. Good res. Volk. Volk right here. And Volk is basically a cooldown. Pop Volk right now. Press Q, press Q, press Q. Again, the super jump. Now, they're off Widow, but, you know, we know that because we can see it here, right? You don't know that, or you might have been able to hear the shots, whatever. Just assume that, you know, assume they still have a Widow, right? Don't do those super jumps unless you are constantly hitting tab, and which you also should be doing, hitting tab to kind of see if there's any changes to team comp. But even if it's an Ashe, don't super jump like this, because an Ashe can still 2-tap you. Dangerous super jump. I don't know what your Pharah is doing. She's kind of sitting there.
My servants never die.
You're like 12 seconds too late on that Volk. You might have been able to keep your Sigma alive.
Rocket barrage incoming. Did someone
Honestly, and in cases like this too, when they're running a ranged DPS like Ashe or Widow, again, staying on the ground is kind of ideal. Again, you avoid those long sight lines, so you don't always have to glide to the ground. Sometimes just drop, right? let go of space, and just drop to the ground. The faster you get out of line of sight, the better.
We make a great team. Where does it hurt? Hello.
Real bad super jump. I know it's fun, and it's good to know that you can do this, and I've seen you use it on the first round to great effect to get away from enemy DPS and get away from danger. But doing it right here is just, it is really bad, and at higher ranks you are going to be punished for doing this. Right, those enemy DPS, they are going to hit those shots. And
Well done.
again, I know it's fun, and I've said this again, I'm going to keep on saying this to kind of hammer it home. You are going to be punished for doing this at higher ranks. So this is a bad habit to be into. Just stop doing these unnecessary super jumps.
My healing spell is upon me.
Targets neutralized.
That's a bit of a scramble.
Back in the fight.
60 seconds remaining. Stop the payload.
Like this is good. Staying back. Damage boosting the Junkrat.
I'm here.
So you can hear the Ash. You know that the Ash is going to be somewhere up here. Like, this is a very popular spot for all the hit scan DPS. So it's good you're turning to look, but at this point I would like really be hugging this corner, right? It would be very difficult for them to hit a shot on you when they can't see you. Where you are right now, if this Ash was like even right here, you know, you're a very easy target. So I would either be hugging this wall or like playing around this pillar or something like that. You know that the enemy DPS is going to be set up on this high ground. You know, just a little bit of positioning thing. I'm glad you didn't decide to go for that res. That would have been a very, very risky res, especially because you know the Ash is going to be up there.
My damage spell is upon me.
Again, the super jump, Battle Mercy, I don't like that. Ash just missed her shots on you. Block here. Block, 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 block. Press Q, press Q, press Q.
My servants
Nice.
never die. I'm taking care. Don't let up on them. Thank you.
Oh, okay, you almost lost that duel.
I still have you. My
Your team had
friends.
won the team fight, and so that wasn't necessarily the worst time to go Battle Mercy to secure that last and final kill. But at that point, I would be like in team chats, like, "Hey, help me kill this Ash." Kind of. Very, very risky. You know, you almost lost that team fight. You almost just threw. But you know, that's why I say with the Battle Mercy, you have to be absolutely sure that you are going to win that duel. So right here, you're in a really bad position. Again, you were very up high, right in the open, no cover. Playing around that turret, you were in a better spot.
My healing spell is upon me.
Yeah, this is really bad spot for you. When he hits down.
Let's get you back out there. The battle continues.
Nice res.
Damage increase.
That was close. So this is another one of those situations where, again, you're kind of getting lucky that the enemy Ash just doesn't quite have the mechanics to consistently hit those headshots. By the time you hit gold, like mid-gold, low platinum, you're going to be facing against DPS that will consistently hit those headshots, so you got lucky there. This was just, you know, you res the Junkrat, which was fine, and then you just kind of hesitated for a split second before getting behind cover, and it's that split second decision that's kind of putting you in a bad spot. And, well, you did end up getting punished for it,
Payload has reached the
just not by the Ash.
A speedy recovery.
Soldier 76 reporting for duty.
I am optimized. I cast this forth. Enchanting your damage.
So right here, your team should not be pushing this. And this isn't a you thing.
Right beside you.
Oh, that was... Ooh, I know you wanted to go help your soldier there, but man... You are so lucky that you didn't just die instantly. Your team should not have been pushing that in the first place. Again, it was you, Soldier, and Moira against the entire enemy team. Like, just stay in spawn. Like, just wait, right? Don't push in until you have a full team, right? You're not going to win a 3v6.
Mercy in the right hand. I will not waste this opportunity. Casting a spell on you. Where does it head?
I just press Q here. Again, just ult.
This is my
Nice.
servants never die. Rocket barrage incoming. Get into position.
Up here.
I'm here.
Alright.
Round 2.
So after round 2 here, you did a
Score.
worse job of keeping yourself safe in round 2. You took a lot of risks and did not get punished for them. Again, I pointed those out in the game. You just have to be very careful when you are guardian angeling and super jumping, especially when facing
Ready for battle.
facing against enemy hit scan. Again, because as you climb, you are going to get punished for making those little mistakes, for that super jump in the wrong spot, for flying across enemy line of sight.
Let's get this done. Stabilized.
So, again, you know that they were running a Widow and an Ashe, so you can assume that they were running a similar team comp on this attack as well. So, I wouldn't have done this jump right off the start. I would have stayed on the ground until I knew for a fact that they weren't running a hit scan. You know, and this is one of those things, again, if you're not constantly, you know, hitting tab to check enemy team comp and whatnot, you should be doing that, you know, not frequently, but you should absolutely be checking, especially right at the start. I think it's 10 or 15 seconds in, you can start hitting tab to see their team comp, but it's definitely something that you should be checking on a somewhat regular basis.
60 seconds remaining.
But, you know, now that they're not running hit scan... Oh, nice shot at me, Farah.
I still have use for you. Damage amplified. Get into position.
Which is, so now they're not running enemy hit scan, you're a little bit safer to kind of fly up in the air, and actually maybe more so, simply because they are running spam DPS.
30 seconds
Stop now.
But you do have to be careful with the Ana as well.
Enchanting your damage.
This might be it.
Tactical visor activated.
10 seconds remaining.
Yep, that's it. Okay, so honestly that was pretty good. You know, in round 1 you did a very good job of keeping yourself safe, of keeping some kind of cover between you and the enemy team. Round 2 and 3 you took some unnecessary risks. For the most part you did a pretty good job of managing your beams, as in who you were healing, who you were damage boosting, that kind of thing. That was all pretty good. I don't really have any complaints about that. Your Valk usage was generally pretty good. I think there was one or two that you held on to a little bit longer. A little bit longer than I think you should have, but for the most part, that was pretty good. I think the biggest thing that you need to work on is to stop taking those risks, you know, especially when they are running enemy hit scan. Respect the enemy DPS. Don't take those risks. Don't super jump far up in the air when they're running a Widow. Don't Guardian Angel across the enemy line of sight, because you are eventually going to get punished for that. But I think if you keep on playing like this, you can definitely climb. And if you start making those little adjustments just to, take that extra step to keep yourself a little bit safer, I think you'll definitely keep on climbing. Good job.